Okay, in this video we're going to begin our discussion of formatting in Excel. And we're going to start with giving a brief overview of the basics of formatting and how you can access everything. And then we're going to go into some of the specific topics within formatting, like font sizes, fills, borders, and other topics like that, and just go into some of the shortcut keys that you can use to access them. So to start out, I would say that there are basically three important keys in terms of formatting in Excel. The first important key is Control 1. When you press Control 1 on any cell in Excel, it brings up the Format Cells dialog box. And you can see the different categories here: number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. Protection we're not going to deal with too much for now. We're going to mostly focus on the first five listed here. And you can skip around to these by pressing the letter that each one starts with. So we press N to jump to number, A to jump to alignment, F to jump to font, B to jump to border, F to jump to fill, P to jump to protection, and then N to jump back to number. We can also cycle through them with the arrow keys. So right to move to the right, left to move to the left, and so on. So we can get through them pretty quickly like this. And then we can press tab within each one to actually start moving around and start going to the individual items within here. Now, on the topic of formatting, a lot of the stuff that you see here, like numbers and alignment and changing fonts and borders and fills, a lot of this can be done more quickly. So in other words, you don't need to necessarily press Control 1 and then cycle through all this stuff to get to a lot of these. So what you can do instead is set up custom keys within Excel, or you can use your own macros to access this formatting. But we're not going to get into that net for now. We're going to focus on the basics, and we're going to go through the built-in keys that are already built into Excel that let you do a lot of the stuff more quickly. And we will cover how to set up custom shortcuts and macros in later, more advanced lessons, but for now we're going to focus on the basics of how to do all this. Okay, so as I said before, you can cycle through them by pressing the first letter of each different tab up here. And then when you're in each one, you can either use tab or you can press the Alt plus whatever letter it starts with. Here, we press Alt C to jump into category. And we can just move around like that within here with the down and up arrow keys. Now I said there are three important keys when it comes to formatting in Excel at a basic level. The first was Control 1. The second one would be Control C, and we already know that, it's just a copy key. And then the third important keyboard combination is Alt EST, and that pastes the format. You will press Alt EST, that one combination, probably hundreds of thousands or millions of times once you actually start working in investment banking or finance. It's used constantly, and I would say it's actually probably one of the top 10 shortcuts that you use on a daily basis in Excel. And Alt ES actually just brings up the paste special menu, Alt ES right here. So you can paste formulas, values, formats, comments, validation. There are a lot of different options for pasting these different items, but I would say that Alt EST is probably the single most common one. So just get used to that and get used to pressing that because you're going to be using it quite a lot. So the first thing that I wanted to do here in terms of formatting and showing you some of the basics and just kind of giving you an overview of what we're going to be doing is we're going to make the top row right here look a lot nicer than it does right now. So right now it doesn't really stand out too much from the rest of the data except for the fact that we have a frame set up here. So if we scroll around, it's easier to keep that visible and remaining at the top. But we're going to make this look a lot nicer. So we'll press Control 1 right here. And then we'll go over to fill by pressing F twice. Now, this is another area in Excel where I actually think it's easier to just use the mouse. Some people are absolutely fanatical about this and they say that you should press the tab and use the arrow key a lot to get to the right color, whatever you want. I say in this case, when you're picking colors in Excel, it's typically just easier to use the mouse, and especially because you normally only pick colors once or twice when you're actually working on a model or a data set like this. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to go in here and we'll use the mouse and we will go to the blue that's right here. And if you're using Excel 2003, this will look a little bit different. You can pick whatever color you want, but just pick something relatively dark like we have here. So once we have that selected, we'll press Tab a few more times to get to the bottom here. We'll press OK. So now this cell is blue for the background color. Press Control 1 again, and we will change the font change the font color. So we'll press Alt C here and change the color. You can use either the mouse or shortcut or the arrow keys here. In this case, it might actually be easier to use the arrow keys. Change the font to white. Press Tab to get down to the OK button. Okay, so already this is starting to look a little bit better because the top row is different from all the rest here. So we're going to press Control C here, and then we will highlight the rest of the row by pressing Shift, Control, and then the right arrow key. And then we will use Alt EST to paste the format. Alt EST to paste the format. And so now we have a row that is starting to look a lot better. We still have to fix some things with the alignment and some other problems that we're seeing right now, but you can see that it already looks quite a bit better than we had before and stands out quite a bit more. So that's the basics of how we would go about fixing that at the top and making this kind of stand out more. And again, you may think this is not that important, but in all honesty, as an investment banking analyst or really any kind of analyst or even associate in finance, you spend a lot of time formatting things, coloring things, changing the font sizes, whether it's in PowerPoint or Excel. So it's actually quite important to get all these shortcut keys down and to really master especially the Control 1 key and all the different options you have there for formatting cells. So for your exercise now, I'm going to walk you through what I want you to do. I'm just going to press Control Z a few times to get back here. So for the exercise, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to go through it first in Excel. I won't tell you the shortcut keys, and then you'll try to go through it yourself, try to replicate what I'm doing, and then we'll go through it together. I'll walk through it more slowly, and I'll give you all the shortcut keys so you can check your work. So I want you to select the top row, change the background color. You can change it to blue here. And then change the font. Change it to white here, anything that's easy to read against a dark background. And then I want you to go to the first customer entry and do the same thing. We can change this to red. It doesn't really matter. We can just pick anything that's on here. And then we'll change the font color here. And then we'll just copy this style to the bottom. Okay. So I want you to go through in Excel right now, pause this video, and try to replicate exactly what I just did. Do not use the mouse unless you're picking a color. So do not use the mouse for anything else except for picking a color for the background or for the font color here. Okay, good. So now I'm going to undo everything I just did, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in Excel with all the shortcuts as well. So I'll press Control Z a few times here to undo everything. And the first thing I want to do here is press Shift Control right arrow key to select this row. Then I press Control 1. And by the way, when you're selecting a row like this, I mentioned before how you want to be working with rows and columns, entire rows and columns when you're inserting or deleting things. But when you're formatting things, you actually don't want to do that. So if you're formatting things, it would actually be a mistake to do Shift spacebar and format everything because you'll end up formatting all these cells over here to the right and it's going to make your file huge. So do not do it when formatting. Only select entire rows and columns when you're inserting or deleting them. Anyway, we'll press Shift Control right to select this top row. Press Control 1 now. Now for the font, we'll start there and we will just press Alt C to get to color. We'll press the left arrow key. We can use the mouse here to actually select white, or you can use the arrow key. It's up to you, whatever is easier. We have that. We'll press Tab to get to the OK button. And then we will go to Fill by pressing F again. And here, again, you can use tab or arrow keys. It's up to you. I think it's easier here just to use the mouse and go to the blue that we want. Press tab a few more times to get down to the OK button and press OK. So we have that. Now let's go down. We'll press the down arrow key, then press Control 1. And then within Fill, we can just go down to red down here. Press Tab a few more times. Press Control 1 again, then press F to go to font, Alt C to go to color. You can use the arrow key or the mouse to move up here and select white for the font color. Press Tab to get down to OK. And then to copy and paste the style, we press Control C, and then we press Shift Control down arrow key, and then Alt E S T, and then Enter to paste the format. And those are the basics of how you format things and change the font size and font color and background color within Excel. The important keys to know are Control 1 and then Control C to copy and then Alt EST to paste the format, the style. So that's a quick overview of how formatting works and the Control 1 box within Excel. Coming up next, I'm going to be showing you how to format numbers. So how to make this employee count, these product prices, and product quantities look much nicer. And I'll be going through the shortcut keys you can use to do that, as well as some more details on the Control 1 box and how it relates to numbers in Excel.